Hello and welcome to today's information session. And I would like to welcome you to this very interesting session on RMIT's welcome session. And I'm Associate Professor Benita Beginnig, and I'm the Associate Dean Finance. And I'll be the host for this information session. But before we kick off the discussion, I would like to make an acknowledgement of country. And I would like to acknowledge the people of the Woiwurrung and Bunurong language group of the Eastern Kulin Nation on whose unceded land we conduct the business of the university. RMIT University respectfully acknowledges their ancestors and elders past and present. RMIT also acknowledges the traditional custodian and the ancestors of the lands and waters across Australia and where we conduct our business. While today we join across different areas, I would once again welcome you to this information session, which we would have quite a lot of information around what our School of Economics, Finance and Marketing would offer you towards a successful career that you can potentially build in economics, finance, marketing, and in blockchain. But before doing that, I would like to also introduce you, next slide please, the panel of speakers that we have together, our leaders in our school who would talk to you about the very interesting aspect of all the different majors that we are going to present to you today. But in addition to that, the uniqueness as to why you should be studying with RMIT and in our School of Economics, Finance and Marketing. We would have Associate Professor Stuart Thomas, who is going to talk about the major of blockchain. We will have Associate Professor Ashton De Silva and Dr. Sveta Angelopoulos, who's going to talk about the major of economics. We'll have Dr. Nirav Parikh, who's going to talk about the major of finance. And we will have Associate Professor Konstavros, who's going to talk about the major of marketing. So I would also just briefly have some housekeeping just to mention to you. So while we will have our presenters be giving you some very interesting information, our live chat is also on. So please make sure we would have the question session, which would be 15 to 20 minutes at the end after all the presentation. So if you could start typing your questions, we will try and attempt to answer as much as we can throughout the session. And also we would take formally the questions at the end of the session. To start off, I would now introduce Associate Professor Stuart Thomas, if you could have next slide, who is going to talk about the major of blockchain, and he would tell us about the interesting aspect of the major of blockchain. And I'll now hand over to Associate Professor Stuart Thomas. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Benita. And thank you, Tim. Folks, I'm going to dive straight in and get started talking about the Bachelor of Business in Blockchain-Enabled Business. We deliberately call it that for a couple of good reasons, which I'll get to very, very shortly. Tim, could I have next slide, please? Okay, so our degree in Blockchain-Enabled Business, our major sequence in Blockchain-Enabled Business, is a multidisciplinary program which covers a whole bunch of bases where blockchain is important, and conversely are important to understanding how blockchain and blockchain technology fits in business and in the economy. Now, in doing that, we cover how blockchain fits into the economy. We get deeply into crypto finance and financial technology, or as we like to call it, fintech. We go into applications of blockchain and how you build your own smart contracts and set up your own applications. We very importantly look at the legal and ethical and accounting and regulatory aspects of these technologies and how they work in the economy and the governance framework. And we get very much involved in solving business problems, real world business problems, and problems of your own design too, projects of your own design with blockchain projects. Next slide, please. So what's blockchain? You've probably all heard of Bitcoin. Now, blockchain is the the architecture, if you like, the system on which Bitcoin sits. It was designed for Bitcoin, but in the years since Bitcoin was developed, we've learned very much about how that infrastructure or that economic underlie, if you like, has huge capacity to be used in a whole bunch of different other sorts of areas. So we describe it as a general purpose economic infrastructure technology that is touching all kinds of business. So that slide is maybe a little bit hard to see, but it's covering everything from managing digital assets, managing transactions, managing data about people and things, managing data flows, and doing it in a way that is distributed and is more secure and transparent, and in many ways faster than traditional or more centralized ways of doing these things. So one of the things that we note is that whenever we have a step change in these sorts of technologies, so mid last century, we had spreadsheets and computers and so forth come into our lives. Now with blockchain, we're seeing that same sort of revolution in how business is done again. Next slide, please. So why should you study it? It is becoming super important in the way business is being done worldwide, and I'm offering a few statistics there on that slide. The market size for blockchain, and that is just the projects that we know about now, are expected to grow to some 25 billion US dollars worth in about 2025. There are many, many more times that in transactions happening on blockchains already. A range of different surveys show that a large proportion, the majority of major businesses worldwide, are either engaging with blockchain now or planning to. As far as jobs growth goes, there is staggering jobs growth in the space. CSIRO and its Data 61 group finds, not predicts, but finds more than 200% year-on-year job growth in blockchain skills since 2015. And we have shaped this degree because about half of that growth is in business enabling skills. So not so much the very technical computer coding, building blockchain networks and making them go, that sort of thing, but how these things fit into business and how they fit into enterprise of all sorts. And in all of those surveys, a lack of skills and a lack of in-house skills particularly is limiting adoption. So firms are constrained, governments are constrained, all sorts of enterprises are constrained because there are simply not enough people with the requisite skills. And that's why we have this degree in place and available for you. In the local scene, our Prime Minister, Mr. Morrison, has identified blockchain as a key technology for Australia's economic future and as a cornerstone of his department's digital economy task force, which I'll talk about again in a moment. Blockchain skills are also #1 on LinkedIn and the most highly sought after technical skills across Asia Pacific, but particularly in Australia and New Zealand across all technical job ads. Next slide. Again, this may be a little bit hard to see depending on what your screen looks like, but the point here is that there are many, many, many applications for blockchain, not in the experimental phase, but happening live. So from energy markets to government, to voting, to the creative arts, to high technology, to finance, to even things like managing and tracking endangered species. There are all sorts of things, and almost every week in our blockchain hub, we have a new project that we didn't think of come in from an industry partner looking for help in understanding how the tech fits into their business world. Next slide. So why come to us to study it? We are very proud that we have the world's first dedicated research centre on blockchain for enterprise and for the social science. And from your point of view, that really means business and government and all of the facets of where the economy is and where it works. We are ranked roughly 3rd in the world in blockchain thought leadership on digital currencies and the other applications of blockchain. Our leaders in the blockchain space are members, founding members, of Australia's Blockchain National Roadmap Group and the Prime Minister's Task Force on the Emerging Digital Economy, as well as many, many other international leadership groups. This major that we're talking about today is the first and only full business enabling major that's been created in Australia. It was released this year in 2021, and quite a number of students have come into it this year, and we expect many more next year. We've designed it in conjunction with hands-on industry leaders in the blockchain space. So there's been a high degree of industry input, and it's been led by current thinking about what industry, what business, what social enterprises and government needs right now. So it's very much industry focused, covers a range of disciplines that are relevant to the space, and also allows you a degree of flexibility about how you choose to expand into other disciplines. So you might want to study this with a minor in finance or accounting or marketing or IT or AI or cybersecurity, or a range of other things that are potentially relevant. Next slide, please. These are just a few, back a bit, thank you. These are just a few of the industry partners that we work with. And as I mentioned, we range in partnership from big tech to groups like the Arts Council, to big finance, to energy companies, to social enterprise groups like the Red Cross and Oxfam, as well as cool and inventive startups like Type Human and Stone and Chalk and so forth. So we touch the whole gamut of blockchain space. Next slide. And jobs, well, in a funny way, there are a number of traditional consulting and analyst and advisory and policy advisor type jobs in the space, but the types of jobs they're expanding all of the time, and there are new kinds of jobs being invented to suit the needs of what's happening in blockchain and the new businesses that are developing in it. So we see on the list on the left there things like token designer and manager. It's a kind of job that didn't exist even a year ago. We're seeing more and more of those new sorts of things coming. So and many people are going into their own startups as well. So we imagine that a lot of students will go out into their own startup ventures as a consequence of doing the program. So next slide. The key takeaways, I'll just leave that slide there, but that really just summarises all of the things. So we're a world leader, it's a first program, there's huge job opportunity in the space, and you'll be well at the front of new opportunities in the new digital economy as it's unfolding in front of us. Next slide. Thank you, thanks very much for listening, and I'll hand back over to Benita.
Thank you very much, Stuart, for an amazing presentation on the blockchain. And for sure, our RMIT is one of the leading universities in this space, and with such a great ranking, it's absolutely an area for you to all consider. We will now invite Associate Professor Ashton De Silva, who is going to start talking around the major of finance together with Dr. Sveta Angelopoulos. You're on mute.
So just to clarify, I'm actually going to talk about economics today and not finance. And I reckon I've got the best job, because to talk about economics is something which is great, it is wonderful, and it is something that has the potential to really give you something that is going to help you with your life as well, in terms of your private and also professional life. Next slide, please. Now, before I give you 3 reasons to study economics, I just want to talk a little bit about what it's all about. When you study economics, it's a science that you can apply to basically any aspects. Those little words down there actually show you that it includes things like finance, it includes things like accounting, it includes things like budgets, it also includes things like inflation, but also it also includes some of the world problems that actually we are being faced with today. Now, the reason why economics is so special, because it gives you an understanding of how people interact, but it also gives you an understanding how businesses and governments operate as well. And that's just not locally, that's actually globally. And so also what it gives you is this. It will help you to develop skills that are essential. In fact, economics will give you a unique set of skills that will enable you to take bits of information and to use them wisely. Also, it will give you a set of tools that will actually help you apply models that actually will help you to come to the appropriate solutions. And we will talk about that in a second. Next slide, please. Now, here's my first reason to study economics. The first reason to study economics is because it gives you a breadth of career choice. In fact, it's one of the leading options to actually give you a choice. You can work in government, you can work in business, you can work for yourself. Really, the choice is yours. So basically, you are empowered to choose. And it doesn't also matter, rather, it also gives you the actual ability to choose the roles you want. And so really, economics is something that empowers, and it's something that will give you the choice that you want. Next slide, please. Another reason to study economics is because you will earn a lot of money. In fact, you'll probably end up earning more money than many of your peers. What this slide shows you, and I'll just draw attention to the two red bars. We have econometrics, which is just simply economics with the data side of things, which is something that we teach. But also we have economics by itself. And what that graph shows us is simply this, that if you do end up studying economics, you have the potential to earn a great deal of money. But also what that slide indicates is this, and I want to pick up something what Stuart mentioned as well, and no doubt my other colleagues will actually mention it also, is that these qualifications are a great complement. So I'd encourage you, even if you weren't thinking about economics at the start of this session, think about it now, because it will actually add value to whatever you are wanting to do. Next slide, please. Now, the actual skill sets. The actual skill sets that you will learn are not only relevant for today, but they are relevant for tomorrow. They actually will give you your first job, they'll give you your second job, and they'll give you your third job. Next slide, please. And finally, before I hand it over to Sveta, I just want to draw attention to this slide. There are 4 dimensions. You'll learn about data. You'll learn tools and frameworks. You'll learn how to arrive at the most appropriate solution. You'll also learn a little bit about psychology. Now over to you, Sveta.
Thanks, Ashton. Our courses themselves have been designed to develop the knowledge and skills that are required by industry. Economic theory, modelling and analytics are embedded into real-world issues to support problem solving, decision making and the communication of those outcomes. Next slide, please. The economics discipline has 3 well-recognised and established groups and centres that focus on the fundamental issues in our society. They are experts in their field. Next slide, please. Your academic staff don't just publish in the most reputable academic journals. They actively work with industry, various levels of government, think tanks, not-for-profits and charity organisations to solve problems and analyse fundamental issues to improve the outcomes for individuals, households and businesses. Next slide, please. Leading behavioural research and experiments take place in our behavioural lab. You will have access to this facility when undertaking a behavioural minor, whether when you participate in experiments or even when you conduct your own experiments as a postgraduate student. Next slide, please. The economics major consists of 6 exciting core courses and the opportunity to choose 2 more econ electives. These courses will equip you with work-ready skills and knowledge that are applicable across numerous professional careers. The courses have been designed to extend your thinking, your reasoning, and importantly, questioning. They will help you to see the unseen so you understand the consequences of your actions and the actions of others. Next slide, please. You have great flexibility in the BBiz program, and we recommend very strongly that you follow the following structure for your economics major to ensure the best possible experience and outcomes for you. Next slide, please. As an economics major student, you can develop your skills further by undertaking one or more economic minors, any of the ones in yellow. If you choose a different major, you can undertake any of the minors that are listed here, with advanced data insights becoming available as of 2023. Next slide, please. As Ashton has already highlighted, economics is applicable to a vast array of careers and will complement a large number of other majors that will enhance your employability. How could you possibly aim to be a CEO or a CFO or be a leader in any company without expertise in economics, a discipline that is focused on the world around us, the consequences of decision making, and the ability to make clean decisions, decisions unaffected by the very vocal lobby groups around us. As an economics major or minor student, you will be able to work as an accountant or financial trader or planner or any leading decision-making role in a company. Next slide, please. Just look at the world around you today. On a daily basis, we are discussing the economy, as well as the economics of health, well-being, development, sustainability. The list is endless. Economics is an integral part of our society and underpins everything we do. You are our future business leaders. You are our future political leaders. Economics will train you to think and therefore lead rather than blindly follow. Next slide, please. Thank you for listening, and back to you, Benita.
Thank you very much, Ashton and Sveta, for the major of economics presentation. And for sure, economics does give us a way to lead, and we need future leaders, and that's why we should be thinking of major of economics. But now we will have to invite Dr. Nirav Parikh, who is going to present about major of finance. And if you want to make money, of course, you should be listening to Dr. Nirav Parikh, who's going to talk about major of finance. Over to you, Dr. Nirav Parikh.
Thank you, Benita. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the presentation on Major of Finance. In today's world, finance is more relevant and necessary than ever before, as it can prepare you not only for careers in the financial market, but also for tasks in your everyday life. Hence, I'll start by talking about what is finance, what you will study in the degree and why, the structure of the program, and the opportunities to choose your own path and learning experiences. Next slide, please. I'll start by giving a general overview of what is finance. Next slide, please. Finance is a science concerned with the implications that arise from employing various money management strategies. For companies, financial information is important while making strategic decisions related to improved profitability and understanding activities associated with banking, credit, capital market, money, and investments. It is important to understand that every area of business is affected by finance. In today's globalized environment, everybody depends on financial strategies and principles, including small startups to large corporations, corner shops to international supermarket chains, individuals to governments. Next slide, please. Finance is one of Australia's leading growth industries. By advancing your skills in financial modeling and fintech, developed through doing trading simulation in your courses, you can gain a competitive edge in the finance world. Also, you will be taught by experienced industry professionals and RMIT finance academics who are ranked amongst the top 8 in the finance research in Australia. Next slide, please. Now I will share details about what will you study and how will you study. Next slide, please. Doing a finance major will help you understand about the banking industry, investments, financial systems and markets. You will explore and learn about the equity market, the debt market, foreign exchange market, risk management techniques, and different investment trading strategies. Next slide, please. To complete a finance major, you have to take 8 core finance courses. We provide a very flexible study approach where you need to study the 6 foundation finance courses and 2 out of 4 specialist finance courses to complete the major. The introductory and specialist finance courses will give you the knowledge of different aspects of the financial markets and also develop mathematical and quantitative skills that assist in financial decision making. The foundation course also includes a capstone course, which is an applied hands-on learning experience for students that is designed to consolidate the knowledge and skills acquired while studying the finance major. Next slide, please. Now I'll give you an idea of what career opportunities are there when you do a major in finance. Next slide, please. It is expected that employment prospects in the financial and insurance service sectors will grow by 9.3% in the next 5 years. And you will be well positioned to launch careers in industries such as banking, funds management, insurance, superannuation, not-for-profit, and government organizations. In the past, around 90% of students who have studied finance at RMIT have been successful in getting employed within 4 years of graduation. Next slide, please. While doing the finance major, our students don't just develop the skills and get the knowledge, they learn to think, analyze, and problem solve. This makes them suitable for a wide range of occupations and are desired by a wide range of employers. The graduate exit survey shows that our graduates work as analysts, consultants, advisors, brokers, personal bankers, and in many other managerial roles. Next slide, please. While doing the finance major, you will build your knowledge the RMIT way, getting hands-on experience by using the RMIT trading facility and also working with our industry partners. Next slide, please. Across universities in Australia, RMIT is one of the largest state-of-the-art trading facility that gives you experimental trading experience by simulating tasks that are undertaken by finance professionals in a real-world investment company. While doing the finance degree, each student gets access and training on the Refinitiv Icon financial data platform, which includes data on financial markets, listed companies, business news, and macro data. The advantage is that we teach you finance theories, and then using live data from the market, we provide hands-on experience by training you in all aspects of foreign exchange, money market, and risk management, and in addition, understanding market language and conventions, which are used by practitioners in the real world. Next slide, please. We align with industry partners to provide beyond the classroom experience. We work very closely with the Chartered Financial Analyst Institute, the CFA Institute. While studying this program, students get an opportunity to be part of the CFA Challenge, where they compete with students around the globe. As part of this challenge, students get a chance to be mentored by an industry practitioner. Students also participate in the inter-university foreign exchange trading competition run by Refinitiv and an industry challenge with Mercer International, which is a leading firm for superannuation and investment products. Hence, by working closely with industry partners, we get our students ready for their role in the professional world. Next slide, please. Let me end by saying thank you for taking the time to hear about the finance major at RMIT. Back to you, Banita.
Thank you very much, Neera, for your presentation on finance, which of course is very close to me as the Associate Dean Finance. So now we're going to move on to our last presenter, who is Associate Professor Con Stavros, who is going to talk about major of marketing. Without marketing, of course, which I think, like, we can't convince people. And I'm pretty sure that Con is going to be able to convince us why major of marketing is extremely important and extremely interesting for us to study. Over to you, Con.
Thanks very much, Banita. Marketing, of course, is very much about convincing people and persuading people, but I don't think I'll need to do too much of that today, in the hope that the information that I present to you will be self-explanatory and self-evident in what a great career marketing actually is. I'm going to look at what is marketing, why you should study marketing at RMIT, what we offer in terms of the courses or the subjects within our major, and what that leads to in terms of career outcomes for you as well. If we could go to the next slide, please. So marketing is fundamentally about exchange. I know sometimes people joke that marketing is about making people buy things that they don't want with money that they don't have to impress people that they don't know. But marketing, of course, is far much more than that. It exists in our lives, and it's something that is part of everything and every business in the contemporary environment. So if we're trying to encourage people to get a vaccination, or if we're trying to sell products in supermarkets, and as we look to the future in terms of where the digital market will take us in terms of exchange, we are surrounded by marketing. And marketing essentially is about having the right product targeted to the right audience in terms of the right value, the right levels of communication, and also the right price. All these factors need to be brought together. And the beauty of marketing is that it is competitive. Whilst we're trying to do that for any particular brand that we might have, all of our competitors, whether they're on the supermarket shelves or on social media pages or all around us, are also trying to convince people where to spend their money in terms of products or services that they might like to purchase. And it really is this sustainable competitive advantage that you try and build that is key to the world of marketing. If we could have the next slide, please. One of the beauties of marketing is that it is a great blend of art and science. It's what attracted me to the world of marketing in the beginning. One of the key areas for those of you that are scientifically minded and like things that are clean and rational is that there is a strong element of that to marketing. There is a science behind the consumer psychology and the business practices that exist. But similarly, for those of you that have a creative ideology or an interest in that particular area, there is a lot of marketing that involves creativity and artistic license. And that's the beauty of that competitive nature I was talking about a moment ago. Ideally, the best marketers we find are those that can bring the art and the science together. And that's something that we certainly strive to teach you at RMIT University in the marketing major. Next slide, please. So let's take a look at what you study at RMIT if you were to choose a marketing major. Now, keep in mind at RMIT we call subjects courses. So when I use that term, I am talking about a unit of study. And as you can see there, our major is made up of 8 courses. And of those 8 courses, 6 of those are fixed. You will definitely study those. And these provide a really solid and clear foundation to your studies. So from the basics of marketing principles to understanding the psychology of consumers in buyer behaviour, to understanding how we gather and use information in market research, the exciting world of advertising and promotion that comes through in marketing communications, understanding the changing environment of digital marketing, and being able to put it all together to make the right kind of decisions in strategic marketing. Those 6 courses form the basis of your marketing major. And from there, you choose an additional 2 courses to make up the 8 in total that will bring your marketing major to a completion. Keeping in mind that all of this nests inside our brand new Bachelor of Business, which is new for 2022. That Bachelor of Business gives you the opportunity to study multiple majors, if you like, or a series of a major and minors, giving you great choice and flexibility. Next slide, please. We'll have a look now at what some of these extra courses that you're able to do to round out your major. And of course, we give you a great variety of choice, keeping in mind that you can essentially pick any 2 of these courses to add to the initial 6 to make up for the major of 8. Now, I won't go through all of those courses that are listed there. They're relatively clear for you to be able to see. What we're particularly excited about and conscious that we don't want to overwhelm you with choice is that by picking specific choices here, what we call career couplets, that you can actually take 2 of these courses together that provide a little bit of a boost to your industry choice or the area that you might like to work in. So let's give you some examples of that by going to the next slide. There are 7 examples here, and again, I won't go through all of them, but you'll get the idea of what we mean by career couplet. So, for example, you could, if you're interested in brand management, where a lot of our students end up in, if you take applied brand management and couple that with product innovation management, so there's 2 separate courses there, adding that into your major gives you a chance to really specialise for a brand management career. For those of you that are interested in data analytics and consumer insight, you can take marketing analytics and a course in customer experience strategy and prepare yourself for that particular field of employment. Now, these are just some examples. You're free to choose your own pathway to mix and match as you would like. And if you look at the next slide, we actually map out for you what it might look like in terms of studying a marketing major. And in fact, in this particular case, also taking on a second major as part of your Bachelor of Business. Now, I think, and of course I'm a little bit biased, but I think marketing is the perfect accompaniment to any Bachelor of Business. And I would certainly think that it makes a great first choice. But even if it's not your first choice, even if you've thought some of the other presentations today, which have all been fantastic, provide a compelling reason for you to do that, I'd also ask you to think about adding marketing as a second major in those instances, because it certainly provides you with great flexibility and choice and adaptability. Next slide, please. So why RMIT for marketing? Well, a number of different reasons. We have a fantastic teaching approach, which is all about applied and active learning. And that comes from our people who are themselves applied researchers, who engage with industry, who are award-winning educators. And that ensures that you get a wonderful industry relevant learning experience, where in many of your classes, you'll find you're working with real brands on real situations. That, of course, leads to employability, and that's, of course, what we're aiming to do with you, get you into great jobs, the future-proof jobs that come with marketing itself, right across small, medium-sized firms to global brands, and, of course, the future brands that marketing will be central to. And we drive that through those choice of courses that I just took you through in terms of the career couplets and the flexibility that comes with that. Next slide, please. Plenty of global opportunities in marketing as well. We won't go through all of the different places where you can go and study, but whether it's Europe, Asia, North America, Africa, etc., they're all opportunities across many of our majors at RMIT. Next slide, please. So let's finish up by looking at where marketing leads to and the great range of jobs that are available. As I said, from major multinationals to small business, or indeed wanting to start your own firm. Marketing is certainly global in nature, it's certainly future-proof, and it's very much a dynamic and exciting career. And you can see from the list of job opportunities there, from service and retail right through to advertising and promotion, there is an exciting and dynamic range of choices. Next slide, please. And just to give you some examples of the types of jobs that are out there, these are all current jobs or relatively current jobs that have been posted on Seek. The ones in blue come from Seek, and the ones in red are actually jobs that have been filled by our RMIT marketing graduates in recent times. And you can see the wonderful array of organisations and companies that exist there. All brands, of course, need marketing to survive. Next slide, please. So I'd like to welcome you and encourage you to think about marketing as either a first or a second major as part of your Bachelor of Business. And on behalf of all the staff who have the great pleasure to work with, hope that we'll see you studying marketing with us at RMIT. Thanks, Benita. Back to you.
Thank you very much, Con, for such an amazing presentation, and the flexibility of the career couplets that the marketing major does provide is a really, really amazing options, and all the flexibility and applied approach that the marketing major, as well as the other majors that we do provide in the School of Economics, Finance and Marketing. Now it's time to hear some interesting questions that we've been having from the attendees, and the panel of experts are ready to provide some answers, definitely. And I will start off with some specific questions that we have to each of you specifically, and there are some general questions which I would expect any of our discipline leaders can answer. So I would start off with Stuart first in the queue for blockchain. We've heard a lot about blockchain, and of course our attendees are very much interested in knowing in terms of the different type of jobs out there relating to blockchain in general.
Thanks, Benita. I popped an answer to that in the chat, but there are a range of traditional sorts of advisory and consulting and business analyst type of jobs, and most of those are in the sort of major employers, the sorts of big tech and consulting firms like IBM, at Accenture, and big banks and so forth, where those sorts of traditional graduate jobs exist. But increasingly we're seeing new forms of job coming up as well, as new sorts of processes and programs emerge in the blockchain arena, and there are simply new sorts of things to do. So, up until just a few months ago, we would not have heard of a job like token manager or director of coins, or roles like that. But roles with sort of cool names like that are very blockchain relevant are starting to filter through, as well as the more traditional sorts of jobs. And as to the types of employers, really they run the whole gamut from again the very big firms all the way through to lots of very creative and interesting startup organizations with new ventures. Many firms that are venturing into blockchain are spinning off new subsidiaries, pardon me, or whole new companies to fold their operations into blockchain. It's a very dynamic space. So unlike some other professions where I could say you will become a nurse or you will become an accountant, it's a little bit hard to put a pin on what your job will be called, or even what you may end up doing. It's new and fresh and opening up even more every day.
Definitely, I agree with you on that, Stuart. With the digital world, more and more we are having new different type of job titles, and as you've mentioned, digital jobs more and more, and the big names that you've already identified, I think does answer what our future graduates potentially want to hear. So I'll move to the next question, which I think is going to go to our economics expert here, and we want to know what is being really looked into in for an economic graduate in particular?
I'm sorry. So I think I'll answer this a couple of different ways, and I hope I understand the question correctly. But look, what you'll get at RMIT is you'll get a good training in the data side of things, and so that does qualify you for a number of actual positions, and businesses are looking for that. Given the information age that we're in, that's actually quite essential. The other thing that we do at RMIT is we do the behavioural side of things as well. And that's actually something that also is being used a lot in businesses and governments to understand why people do the things that they do. And there's a number of positions, and that's something that's actually started really took off around about a couple of years ago. And then finally, I'll say also that what the types of skills that we teach and the skills that really match what's being asked out there is we also give you an understanding of the economics in general, and in terms of understanding the economy and understanding what it means to you, as well as those around you. You know, you might think, just for example, there's been some mention lately of a double dip recession. Well, we'll teach you what that means. We'll teach you why it's important, both for you personally, as well as you, as well as for your professional life. I hope I understood that question correctly. If I haven't, please get back to me. Thank you.
Thank you, Ashton. I think you have pretty much. That's what my understanding as well. But I want to, if Sveta could touch on, in particular, some of the career outcomes of what, because economics seems to be pretty broad in general, and even at RMIT, we do have a lot of minors that can be combined. That's one of the things that we have also presented to today. So if you could talk a little bit more specifically around the career outcomes from economics, Sveta.
Thanks, Benita. Economics is awesome because it doesn't mean that you're going to become an economist, which of course you can aim for, but that's not really what your skill base is forcing you to do. So our economics students work in a really vast range of jobs, ranging from any type of analyst, different types of business analytics, business analysts in all different industries across a broad range of companies. They work as advisors in companies because they understand the repercussions of government action, of the impact of crises on the economy in general and businesses in specific, and how companies need to move to ensure that they remain agile and can remain profitable during these sorts of upheavals. So there is a vast range of occupations that economics students undertake. There's really not much pigeon-toeing that occurs. And, you know, it doesn't really matter whether you want to really, as I said before, work maybe as an accountant, or you want to work in the field of finance or marketing. Economics will give you that broad understanding of the world around you to enable you to make the best possible decisions with the knowledge that you have, with the information that you're able to access. Hope that helps.
Thank you very much, Sveta. So I'll have a question for finance. And of course, these days with COVID, lockdown, online, exams is on the mind. So we do have a question related to exams. And I guess it's not just about finance, but we have that question on finance, but it's for around all courses. But it's pretty much, are there any exams for the finance courses? If Nirav could answer that question.
Thank you, Benita, for the question. Going forward, we don't have any exams in finance, including economics and marketing. What we have is we have authentic assessments for each of the courses which you study at RMIT, and authentic assessments are duplicating what is expected from you all in the real world. Now, for example, in the course, which is an investment course, you are supposed to do a valuation of a company that is listed on the stock market, which is something very similar to what a security analyst would do in the real or the professional world. You also have to create a portfolio using ICON, which is the database widely used in the industry. And again, when you work as a portfolio manager, this is the skills which you will really require going forward. I hope that answers the question.
Thank you very much, Nirav. So we do take a very applied approach at RMIT. So far, what we're presenting, and we don't have exams, and we really test your higher order thinking. That's what we tend to do at RMIT, and that's what we're really good at. I will now move on to our marketing expert, and we will talk to Con. And I want specifically, we have study hours. That's one of the key, very, very specific questions that we have from students. How many study hours expected? Not just for marketing, Con, but in general, how many hours you expect students to study? I'll start off with that question, but I'll have a follow-up question for you after that.
Thanks, Benita. It is a common question. Usually when students ask, or potential students ask about study hours, they've got something else that they'd like to try and do alongside. Look, my best advice to you is if you're taking your studies seriously and if you're studying 4 courses, 4 subjects at the same time, which is a full-time load, I'd think of that as a full-time job in essence, because you've got the hours that you'll spend at RMIT in classes, interacting with the material, and then you've got the work outside that in terms of your assessment. And Nirav did a fantastic job there explaining the concept of authentic assessment, and particularly in marketing, where you'll be working on real projects with real brands, there is time outside the classroom that you'll need to spend. So I would say that with your 3 contact hours per week for each subject or course that you do, and on top of that another 6 to 8 hours of work outside, and if you multiply that by the 4 courses, you essentially get the 32, 36, 38 hours a week. That will keep you relatively busy. Of course, you can combine a part-time job with that, or interest in sport and hobbies that you have. There is a great flexibility, and keeping in mind that our semesters runs for 12 weeks and we have 2 semesters across the year. So there is plenty of flexibility for you in terms of your study, not just in the courses that you choose, but also in the timing that you're able to undertake.
Thank you very much, Con. And for sure, it is a full-time job studying at university, and a big jump from high school to university study, that we all know. But I do have, you spoke quite a bit about flexibility, not just in marketing, but that's a whole key around our majors that we are offering at RMIT. But in particular, I just want to hear around, can I choose more than one major? So if you could touch on that one.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is one of the key offerings for the Bachelor of Business. And as I indicated in my presentation, the Bachelor of Business is brand new for 2022, and we're very, very excited about what that brings and the opportunities. So when you study the Bachelor of Business, you have some core 4 fundamental courses that all of the students will take, and then you get choice around that, including potentially choice from outside the College of Business to do even a minor in other parts of the university. But let's focus on the College of Business for now. You have the option of doing up to 2 majors as part of your Bachelor of Business. And as I indicated to you before, one of the great bits of flexibility is to perhaps take economics or finance or blockchain or marketing, as we've spoken to you today about, and even combining 2 of those and graduating with 2 majors, which I think if you've made the right kind of choice, and depending upon what your career aspirations are like, can be really, very strong in terms of your own brand and your portfolio. Now, there's 15 different majors for you to choose from in the Bachelor of Business, so there's plenty of choice for you, and there's more than 30 different minors that you can do as well. Now, a minor, unlike a major, which a major includes 8 courses, a minor is 4 courses. So you're also able to do minors as part of your study. There's a lot of permutations and combinations here, which we don't have time for me to all go through. But certainly 2 majors would be a great option, and certainly one I'd recommend to a lot of people. 1 major and a couple of minors if you'd like to do that. You can even take the option of not doing a major at all, just picking a series of minors or a series of courses. So great flexibility, a great choice for you to be able to put together what suits you personally.
Thank you very much, Con. I couldn't agree more with you on this, because one of the key things that we have at RMIT is the flexible approach in the BBs going forward. And we have so many different combinations that students can do with all the majors and minors and the different options across different, even not having a major completely, and students can do all different minors and different courses all along the way. I have a last question, which I'm going to ask any panel member, and I think all our panel experts could take that question, any one of you. So I'll get Stuart to talk about that. Does GPA matter for hiring, or is it more soft skills now? Stuart.
I had an echo, so I turned my mic off. Yeah, it's going to depend a lot on who your prospective employer is. The traditional employers that employ large numbers of grads in grad programs, again, I'll use the same names as before, the IBMs, the Accentures, some government departments and so forth, do look a lot at academic performance. But increasingly across the board of employers, the what we might call soft skills, communication skills, and ability to write reports and think critically and analyze abstract problems are becoming increasingly important. So many employers look for technical capability, but they also look at demonstrated diversity of types of thinking and types of interest in your education. And I might also just fill in a little, or backfill a little after what Con said about the choice of majors and minors and so on. We have many minors to choose from, and it can possibly be a little bit confusing about which ones to choose. We do provide advice on what are good and useful combinations of majors and minors to you, and so you don't need to feel like you'll be thrown this whole menu of things to try and pick from and make sense. You can come to us for advice and to the Student Hub for advice on what are sensible combinations to choose.
Thank you very much, Stuart. And that brings us to our last question, and we're right on time. And I will start off by thanking all the panel members for amazing presentation on all the flexible options that they have today presented in our School of Economics, Finance and Marketing, including blockchain major as well. And I would also thank all the attendees to take time to attend this session, a very valuable information session that you have attended today. And also, if you have further questions, please do visit our study page, study at RMIT page. And also, if you want to speak to us in the live chat during our main event, which would be held on the 29th of August. So thank you very much for attending once again. And we look forward to welcome you at RMIT at some point in time over the next year. Thank you very much.